Guys, Caleb here, and today I'm going to be showcasing the custom First Order General Star Destroyer that I made, and a tiny TIE Fighter. I've been wanting to make a LEGO Star Destroyer mock for the past 2 or 3 months, however I haven't really tried it because it has been incredibly hard to build. One of the hardest LEGO spaceships I've ever built, actually, because it's incredibly hard to get this triangle shape out of a LEGO spaceship. Like, LEGO bricks genuinely are just square, and so with a triangle LEGO brick, or square LEGO bricks, it's incredibly hard to get this epic triangle shape. But I successfully did it, and even got a full interior with a hologram room, a conference room, a control bridge, and even a micro TIE Fighter hangar bay. Take a little bit of inspiration off the brand new Moff Gideon's Cruiser that was leaked about a week ago, and the inside was a little bit inspired more off of that, like, First Order Star Destroyer thingy? I don't know when that was made. Is a little bit thicker and a little bit different than most Star Destroyers, and that is because this is custom made for the custom general that I made, and it's pretty much a First Order Star Destroyer for generals only. It's pretty much their own special Star Destroyer that they get just for them, and their own limited, Star Destroyer made just for them. So it's really made for transporting important generals of the First Order Army. Further ado, let's dive into detail on all of the little details on this thing, because there's quite a lot of stuff to go through. Outside, I did use a fair amount of this cool technique called greebling, where you really put a bunch of sort of random bricks on the outside of it, and it really adds a lot of detail and depth to what otherwise might be a bland model. Adds a lot more depth and makes it a lot more interesting, which is really cool. So you have all these grooves and plates, and even a tiny little gray rollerblade in there. So all of these kind of random pieces that don't go together in the same color is called greebling, and it always looks really cool, and it's a really good way to make your mocks look a lot more professional. It looks really good though. Parts of the top are kind of stained with dirt, and those are not the actual pieces, but it's meant to show that this actual ship is a little bit more beat up and rusty, but not still old, pretty still new. We even have the control bridge up here, which is where the people would be piloting it. Retrospect wouldn't exactly be a full-on Star Destroyer, as this is the TIE Fighter, but the outside was sort of built in micro scale, right? The outside is kind of built in micro scale with this TIE Fighter and the TIE Fighter hangar bay, but the inside is built for full minifig scale, which is cool. So the outside's sort of built in micro scale, but the inside is, in fact, minifig form. You look, if we flip it around to the back, I build, let's see, seven large thrusters on the back there, along with some walls, preventing the gaps from being too large. I really felt that I did a pretty good job of closing all the gaps off. This piece here that actually goes down the middle of it, and you can fold it up to help access the interior, we'll get to in a minute. But without that, I just had this absolutely massive crack that made this whole thing look very, very bad and unprofessional. And so to close that off, I pretty much found a way to get that. And this is just sort of acts as filling in the crack, just folds down like that, and really folds, kind of seals off the crack quite nicely, while still looking really cool on the ship. It's not really noticeable. But if you took this away, it would just be a lot, visually not as appealing at all. And so with this, it makes the whole model a lot more appealing. There was a TIE Fighter hangar bay, which is one of my favorite parts of this entire model. See any hangar bay here, but on the bottom side, we actually get to the hangar bay area. Hangar bay is really a parking spot for spaceships, and what you can do is you can have the TIE Fighter flying in, and it actually just sort of clips into place there. You kind of wedge it into place, sort of just kind of put it on this arm there, and the arm actually folds right up into the bay. It actually folds right into there, which is super cool because it's actually really flat when it's in there, and you can have it down like that so it can carry the TIE Fighters, and then once it's ready to deploy, you can just press it out, put that in a little bit, park it, and the TIE Fighter can fly off, which is a super cool detail to actually have pretty much what would be a parking spot for a TIE Fighter on its spaceship. Is just so cool to me to have this entire parking spot for it just rest in place there and put it there, which is super cool. And that's honestly my favorite part of this mock, is the TIE Fighter hangar bay. To access the interior, the panels do not actually hinge up yet they're still attached very lightly. So what you do actually is you can lift this up to get a better grip space in there, but it does also look sort of cool with these on there. But what you do is you sort of just wiggle these off. It's connected in one spot, which is right there, and you can lift the whole panel off. Exact same with this guy. They lift right off there, and boom, we can get access to the entire interior. And really, I could sort of consider displaying it like this. It makes it look like it's sort of hollowed out for the interior. Obviously, you can flip that up to better access the control bridge. Further ado, I'm going to show you the interior of this thing, because there is quite a bit to go over. It's really hard to get lots of interior space in such a weird shaped spaceship. Like, it's just a triangle. Like, it's very hard to the interior is a little bit cramped is what I mean, but I feel like I got some pretty good use out of it. And we do have a small conference table with 2 seats for generals or just people in the ship to go. Remember, this is made for transporting generals of the First Order. Little crate and a little can of coaxium back there. But this is a pretty cool room. There's also a doorway to the other room we will get to in a minute. Pretty small, but pretty good. This time we have a hologram room for the general himself. Right now I have a stormtrooper here. I didn't actually have a hologram piece, and so I had to build my own. You can pretend this is either Snoke or Kylo Ren that he's talking to, and usually you would have a general here, also a little control panel for the actual hologram, which is cool. My favorite room is the whole front of the ship where I built a control bridge. Usually in starships they have these big control bridges where the generals and people walk above it, and then below it the actual controls are. And so I kind of built that on my own here. You obviously have a walkway for him to walk over top, but you also have little divots for people to work and actually control the ship. Usually you would have a second stormtrooper. You could take your second stormtrooper and put him here if you wanted to, I suppose. But it's just a command bridge, which turned out really cool how he can actually walk above the, the crew and everything, which is really cool. It's in fact fairly easy to really put the ship back together. All you have to do is drop that part down, drops down pretty simply, and then these panels, the black part is actually where the panel is attached to, and what you do is you just sort of press that into place, sort of locks into there. Exact same with this guy as I said earlier, and you just make sure it lines up there, click it down into place, and it is back in place, and you have the Star Destroyer in its full glory again. It is a little bit of a shame that I didn't have it, how it hinges out, but that would be incredibly hard to design, and I do think this design does work out pretty well. Here you have it. This is the Star Destroyer mock I made, First Order Star Destroyer, for the custom general minifig I make, who does turn out pretty cool with his leg printing. Making that big, Jedi cruiser mock about a month ago, I felt like it felt appropriate to make another large, Star Wars mock to battle against it. So, hypothetically, this would be going against that ship, I guess. Personally, I'm very happy how it turned out. I especially like the control bridge, and especially probably my favorite part is this TIE Fighter hangar bay. That part just turned out so sick. I love the control arm and everything, and how you can just pop out this tiny mini TIE Fighter, which looks a lot like the actual TIE Fighter for being so small. But it really turned out one of my favorite mocks I've made in a while. It turned out really cool. Used a lot of the parts from the massive mock I destroyed. This is Seabreak Productions. Sign off for now. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with my latest videos, and I will see you guys later. Peace out. Bye.